At the height of the Cold War, President Kennedy famously called for a fallout shelter for everyone. Thousands were built. Thankfully, none were ever used for their intended purpose. But now, Roxana Saberi tells us, bomb shelters are back.
He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.
They now seem quaint, even absurd.
You duck and cover tight against the wall.
Public service films from the 1950s and 60s, teaching children how to protect themselves from a nuclear blast. And showing families that they too can build a cozy bunker of their very own.
Ruth and I certainly can live in here very comfortably for at least 2 weeks.
But as the Cold War thawed, bunker mania faded. That is, until recently. With the tide of war in Ukraine turning against Russia, the threat of a desperate Vladimir Putin resorting to nuclear weapons to win at all costs is no longer so far-fetched.
Our counterstrike will be instantaneous.
Every time Putin talks about a nuclear weapon, the phone rings off the hook. I bet it made the phone ring probably 400 or 500%.
At DEF CON underground bunkers near Kansas City, Missouri.
This is kind of your kitchen area.
Co-owners Ryan Ola and Corey Hubbard say around a third of those inquiries have turned into sales.
It's everyday average people. I mean, it's from people that could barely afford it to people that have plenty of money, and it's not just a doomsday prepper scenario.
Some of them are very concerned. They want something right now. They're afraid something's going to happen.
They're expecting like Amazon Prime service or something.
Exactly, yes.
Across the United States and Europe, other manufacturers told us they've never seen such high demand, despite the high prices. They say pretty much whatever you can imagine and pay for, they can build. At DEF CON, shelters start at $75,000.
How safe is a bunker like the one you're standing in?
For all of us in the business, it comes down to engineering. It's not like we can test these things.
And the federal government provides only guidelines, not regulations, for building underground bunkers. So it's up to buyers to do their homework.
The need for this kind of protection is new to our shores, but the time to start is now.
Back in 1961, President John F. Kennedy asked Congress to designate and stock public fallout shelters. Today, most are abandoned. That's partly because if the worst does happen, there's no guarantee they'd work.
The most significant thing, the blast size of nuclear weapons, which are enormous. Even the smallest nuclear weapon is 10 times the size of the largest conventional weapon.
Patricia Lewis is a security expert at the London-based Chatham House think tank and a former UN disarmament research director.
You get instant radiation, you get heat, fires, huge winds. So a large part of the city or the area in which was targeted would be uninhabitable.
That's why, she warns, not every shelter will save you.
Unless it was highly reinforced and people could stay down there for a long, long time. But think about what you would encounter afterwards. I think that's the thing. This is why the prevention of nuclear war is by far the most sensible way forward.
In Britain, most of the Cold War relics have also been sealed up or sold off. Some even transformed into a wine cellar, a cafe, and a museum like this one, hidden under a hill just outside London.
And once they're shut, you would be in here for your 3 months or 6 months or however long it took you.
And everybody else?
Outside.
Now owned by Mike Parrish, this shelter was built in 1952 to keep 600 civil and military personnel safe, in control,
so we can switch one on
and in communication if the Soviets attacked, as imagined in this staged announcement.
The United Kingdom was heavily attacked with nuclear weapons.
But lately, people are seeing this museum in a whole new light.
And we've had about 20 inquiries so far from people who want to come.
So for the right price, you would offer space to somebody to rent this out?
Certainly, yes.
For Mike Parrish, though, family comes first, and it's serious business.
If there is a nuclear incident, what do you plan to do?
Well, I plan to lock the doors with me inside.
You and your family?
Me and my family. It's like a wedding list.
Okay. Do you have a list? Have you written it out? You're not sharing.
Not sharing, no.
Then there are countries like Finland that have never let their guard down.
About 20 meters.
Shelters are practically everywhere, some doubling as pools or playgrounds. And in Switzerland, a country of roughly 8.5 million people,
Entrance.
Please.
there's room for around 9 million to shelter.
The idea is to have 50 people each rooms.
How many rooms are there?
Many, come, please.
Fourth room for 200 people so far.
Yes, let's continue.
Okay. Engineer Cédric Villumier says these days residents are on edge.
Some people are afraid, really afraid. They write us, they want to be sure that the shelter are prepared.
You're getting more inquiries than before.
Exactly.
Here, by law, everyone has to have access to one in their community, or, like François Zerkinden, in their basements.
Okay, and this is now the glass door. We can open it.
Oh, that's a thick door.
Yes, very thick.
So this is it.
Yes, it is. It's not very big.
How many people can sleep?
12 persons, 4 or less.
You also have a lot of wine stocked.
Yes, wine. We have also a little bit of water, enough for a few days.
Jam.
Jam.
In the meantime, back at DEF CON, the orders keep coming.
What would you say to somebody who says, you guys are making money off of people's fears?
We tell people this: you buy car insurance, you buy homeowners insurance. We're just offering a different type of insurance.
Hopefully your products will never be tested.
I hope so.
That's what we say. It's a life insurance policy we hope you'll never have to use.